Coming up on Network Africa. Countries around the world and in Africa welcome the year 2025 with much celebration and thanksgiving. Côte d'Ivoire announces withdrawal of French troops from the West African country. Plus, Sudan's Army Chief General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan rules out pre-war reconciliation with the Rapid Support Forces. Hello and welcome to the very first episode of the year. I'm Layo Olarinde. Happy New Year to you and your family. It's the new year 2025 and several African leaders have been reeling out their plans for the year. Let's begin with Guinea. The military leader, General Mamadi Doumbouya, has reaffirmed his commitment to restoring constitutional order in the country. In his New Year message, he announced that the process would begin in the first quarter of 2025 with the signing of a decree to organize a constitutional referendum. Speaking on political commitments for the year, General Doumbouya also outlined his administration's achievements over the past year and presented a roadmap for the country's political future. Elections are expected to hold this year, with the presidential, legislative and local elections organized with a focus on transparency, inclusivity and adherence to Republican values. He emphasized the need for strong, enduring institutions to safeguard Guinea's democracy, and he says the adoption of a new constitution will mark the official end of the transition period and the restoration of constitutional order. In the meantime, Senegal's President Bassirou Diomaye Faye says 2025 would see an end to all foreign military presence in the West African country. In his speech to mark the new year, the president said he has instructed the Minister for the Armed Forces to propose a new doctrine for cooperation in defense and security, involving, among other consequences, the end of all foreign military presence in Senegal from 2025. Mr. Faye's statement comes a month after he announced that former colonial master France would have to close its military bases in Senegal. Now, this is the first time he has set a date for the closure of foreign military bases in his country.
Chers compatriotes, chers frères,
well, in a similar move, Côte d'Ivoire has announced that French troops will withdraw from the country, further reducing the military influence of the former colonial power in the region. In an end-of-year address, President Alassane Ouattara said the move is a reflection of the modernization of the country's armed forces. Côte d'Ivoire is home to the biggest remaining contingent of French troops in West Africa. There are some 600 French military personnel in the country, with 350 in Senegal. President Ouattara adds that the withdrawal will be in a concerted manner, and the military infantry battalion of Port Boué, that is run by the French army, would be handed over to Ivorian troops. France, whose colonial rule in West Africa ended in the 1960s, has already pulled its soldiers out of Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger, following military coups in those countries and also growing anti-French sentiment. For more New Year stories now, this time on celebrations, Kenyans welcomed the new year with roasted goat meat and prayers. In Ruiru, revelers gathered in a pub to celebrate New Year's Eve with roasted goat meat, a traditional dish known as inyama choma. Now, this practice, deeply rooted in Kenyan culture, brings people together to share in the preparation and enjoyment of the meal. In the capital, Nairobi, some residents attended a New Year's Eve service in a church, welcoming 2025 with songs and quiet reflection.
Your blessings, and we come to say thank you, Lord. And the Church of Christ said,
well, as Nigerians usher in the new year with prayers and thanksgiving, the president is looking forward to a brighter 2025 for the nation. In his New Year message, President Bola Tinubu says that as 2025 dawns, it brings many hopes, aspirations and prospects for better days. By the grace of God, he says it will be a year of great promise to fulfill collective desires. Though 2024 posed numerous challenges for citizens and households, he expresses confidence that the new year will bring brighter days as economic indicators point to a positive and encouraging outlook for the nation. Fuel prices have also gradually decreased and the naira has strengthened against the US dollar, bringing greater stability. Well, still in Nigeria, states in the southern region of the country welcomed 2025 with a mix of gratitude, hope and optimism, celebrating the end of one chapter and the promise of a better one ahead. Let's take a look now at the sights and sounds of the crossover celebrations from some of these states in Nigeria.
States in the southern region light up with prayers and celebrations to mark the end of 2024 and the start of 2025. In the South-South, the River State's Governor Simine Alai Fubara marks New Year's Eve and crossover celebrations in his hometown, Okpobo, leading the congregation in songs of praise for overcoming what he describes as the political trials of the past year. The atmosphere at St. Philip's Anglican Church in Asaba, the Delta State capital, is filled with joy and reverence as the congregation offers praise and thanksgiving to God, trusting Him for a brighter future.
Knowing what we passed through, what we are passing through from this 2024, it has not been easy, but our expectation is for the best. All depend on God to see us through.
2024 has been a beautiful year, a wonderful one, with its ups and downs, and hopefully and prayerfully we pray that 2025 will be better. 2025 will usher in better year, better economy for each and every one of us, for the church, especially for our country, Nigeria.
In his New Year broadcast at the government house in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State's Governor Duoye Diri reaffirms his administration's commitments to foster development and prosperity.
As we begin the new year, I am filled with a sense of hope and optimism, eager to build on the progress we have made and to work assiduously towards a better, brighter, and greater future for our great state.
While the Akwa Ibom State's Governor, Pastor Umo Eno, preaches unity among residents in spite of their political leanings.
As we usher in the new year, I enjoin us to remain united and shun politics of division and personal destruction. We are committed to running an inclusive government, and we have demonstrated this approach in the last 18 months since we came in. Politics should not divide us or sever our bonds of kindredship.
Welcome to 2025! Welcome! In the southeast, Governor of Abia State, Alex Oti, also crossed into the new year from his country home chapel in Isialangwa South Local Government area with assurances to residents of better living standards in 2025.
We have a mission, and that mission is to help our people move majority of us out of poverty, purely enable the environment for our businesses to do well, empower you to have an enduring business.
To Anambra State, where Governor Chukwuma Soludo reveals that the dawn of 2025 brings refreshed hope and unprecedented opportunities, especially with the signing into law of the 2025 appropriation bill of 606.99 billion naira.
We believe and pray that 2025 in Anambra here, we captured our budget as changing gears 2.0. That 2025 we're beginning the implementation of our 2025 budget with effect from today, because we have already signed that into law last week, more than a week ago.
While Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State reassures residents that the pace of governance will continue to accelerate and service delivery will be enhanced in 2025, as he urges all residents to work with the government towards the development of the state. In Enugu State, Governor Peter Mba appealed to Nigerians to kindle the fire of love, empathy and charity in order to move the nation forward in the new year and reiterate his commitments to inclusive development and economic opportunities. In the southwest, Governor Dakwa Abiodun joins residents to usher in the new year with praise and worship at the Cathedral of St. Peter's, Ake, in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital.
Committed to achieving even more in the year 2025. As we enter this new year, let us do so with our hearts brimming with gratitude and optimism. Gratitude for the resilience that has carried us through the past year, and optimism for the better days that lay ahead.
Worshippers at the Mary Queen of Angels Catholic Church in Akure, the Ondo State capital, appreciate God for seeing the new year. Across the southern region, the new year arrives with a promise of renewal, unity and progress. From pulpit to political class, the message is clear. 2025 is a year for rebuilding and reaffirming collective faith in a better Nigeria.
Well, the World Health Organization's chief, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, also released the New Year message in which he focused on peace and health security in areas of conflict. Recounting a near-miss ordeal during Israeli strikes on Yemen's Sana'a International Airport in December, the WHO Director General said the attack demonstrated the threat faced by humanitarian workers in war zones throughout the world, citing Sudan and other countries.
During Christmas week, I was in Yemen on a United Nations mission to negotiate with the country's de facto authorities for the release of detained UN staff and other humanitarians. The talks with the Houthis proceeded positively, and we hope they will bear fruit. While waiting to board our flight in Sana'a, the airport came under aerial bombardment by Israel. The attack inflicted needless death, injury, panic, chaos, and damage, and was another reminder of the growing threat faced by civilians, humanitarians, and health workers in war zones around the world. This must stop. With a new year upon us, our leaders must bring desperately needed peace to the world and health and safety to all. Peace and health are linked. From Gaza to Sudan, Yemen to Ukraine, and Haiti and beyond, peace is and will always be the best medicine for the health and well-being of all people everywhere. but bolstering global health security to protect against future outbreaks will require more work in 2025. These actions and more will help make our families, communities, and whole world healthier and safer. To succeed in this vital quest, we must invest in essential measures to promote and protect health. We will continue working to advance health for all, including the health of children and especially mothers, who will be the focus of World Health Day 2025 on the 7th of April, which also marks WHO's 77th birthday. Let us not miss the opportunity the coming new year offers us. Please let us turn the page on conflict, chart a new path to achieve lasting peace, and secure a healthy and prosperous future for all.
Welcome back to the program. Burkina Faso's transitional parliament has passed a law granting amnesty to soldiers accused of a coup attempt in 2015. Then, a group of soldiers from the country's presidential security regiment, loyal to ousted President Blaise Compaoré, attempted an overthrow of the transitional government less than a month before elections. The coup failed after a section of the military pushed back. The masterminds, several high-ranking army officers, were sentenced to prison as a result in 2019. However, to receive amnesty, they must now write to the army ruler, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, appealing for clemency. Well, let's check in with the war in Sudan. The Sovereign Council leader is ruling out a return to the pre-war status with the rival paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, RSF. General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan says a reunion with the RSF is just not possible, although he voiced his readiness to engage in any genuine initiative that ends the war and ensures the safe return of civilians to their homes. He made the statement on Tuesday in a televised speech published by the Sudanese state television on the 69th anniversary of the country's independence from the British occupation. Nearly 25,000 people have been killed and over 10 million others displaced since April 2023, when a battle for power erupted between Sudan's army, led by General al-Burhan, and the RSF headed by his former deputy, Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo. Let's move to Mozambique now. The main opposition leader, Venancio Mondlane, has called for unity ahead of a fresh round of protests against the outcome of October's presidential elections. In a live broadcast online, Mondlane, who is in self-imposed exile, urged citizens to join hands in their neighborhoods at 11:45 p.m. and sing the national anthem until 2025 kicks in. He urged people to cook and socialize in their neighborhoods before a new wave of protests begin on the 2nd of January 2025. Mozambique has faced one of its bloodiest weeks since October, when Venancio Mondlane first called for protests after he rejected his defeat in the elections. Daniel Chapo from the Frelimo party was declared winner of that election by the Electoral Commission, while independent presidential candidate Venancio Mondlane also declared himself victor, making allegations of fraud and electoral irregularities. At least 278 people have now been killed since the unrest began. In the meantime, neighboring South Africa has sent a special envoy to meet with Mozambique's outgoing president in an attempt to quell deadly protests sparked by Mozambique's disputed election in October. The South African president, Cyril Ramaphosa, called on Special Envoy Sidney Mufamadi to voice his government's solidarity with the neighboring country and also South Africa's eagerness to help end the crisis. Fearing that the unrest could become more widespread, South Africa has ramped up security along its border with Mozambique. In Mozambique, buildings, including Frelimo's offices and police stations, have been looted and set on fire across the nation. Capitalizing on the instability, hundreds of detainees also escaped from a high-security prison in Maputo, the capital, last week. Zimbabwe's President Emmerson Mnangagwa has approved a law that abolishes the death penalty in the southern African state with immediate effect. President Mnangagwa's move comes after Zimbabwe's parliament voted earlier in December to scrap the death penalty. Rights group Amnesty International has hailed the decision as a beacon of hope for the abolitionist movement in the region, but is also expressing regrets that the death penalty could be reinstated during a state of emergency. Zimbabwe last carried out an execution by hanging in the year 2005, but its courts continued to hand down the death sentence for serious crimes like murder. About 60 people were on death row at the end of 2023, and that's according to Amnesty. Now they will be resentenced by the courts, with judges ordered to consider the nature of their crime, the time they spent on death row, and their personal circumstances. An artist in Ghana is turning recycled scraps into eco-conscious masterpieces. Michael Gar says he was inspired by his mother and grandmother who used to sew. Take a look.
Michael Gar embarking on a quest through local markets to purchase fabric at a local open market with stacks of waste fabric scattered across the floor. The contemporary artist, based in Accra, uses recycled fabrics as raw materials for his creations to raise environmental awareness and utilize unused scraps. His passion for textiles and design was ignited in childhood, influenced by his mother, aunt, and grandmother, who were always busy sewing around him.
Growing up, I would say I saw my mom, my auntie, and my grandmom sewing. So I fell in love with these textile pieces. Anytime I wake up, I see them around me. And then I was a kid that was cutting stuff. So I intend to pick some of the design in it, and then I cut. So growing up, I said, why don't I use this fabric to create some of my pieces.
Carefully organizing the material before cutting it into pieces, Gar carefully works on his new painting. Watching his family inspired Michael to experiment with fabrics of his own, a creative journey that has blossomed over the years. Reflecting on his artistic journey, Michael recalled a pivotal conference he attended in Italy where discussions around fashion waste and its detrimental impact on the ecosystem resonated deeply with him.
I had the opportunity to visit a conference in Italy where they highlighted this some point where textile waste is destroying our ecosystem.
He explains that he chooses fabrics that are often overlooked and unsold because they contribute to waste, but he's trying to change that thinking.
Trying to create awareness for people to be eco-friendly. So what I believe can change this issue is the mindset of people, and then that's my target.
With fashion offcuts from tailoring shops or second-hand markets, Michael's artworks are inspired by his environment in West Africa.
I work on multiple pieces at the same time, like 4 works or 5 works at the same time, because I love to channel energy to all of them. So it may take 2 to 3 weeks to finish these pieces.
His iconic portraits, featuring faces without distinct features, have drawn the attention of the arts community, with participation in galleries organized in France, South Africa, and New York.
Celebrating a mix of cultures at the traditional Dari Festival in Chad, the fanfare welcomes visitors to celebrate the country's national diversity till the 4th of January.
Thousands of visitors flocked to the 6th edition of the traditional Dari Festival in the city of N'Djamena to celebrate national cultural diversity of Chad. Participants of the festival dressed in traditional costumes, singing and dancing as attendees watch and film the performance. Various goods are also seen displayed on the stalls, including spices, food, as well as statues, baskets and jewelry made by local crafters.
I only exhibit handmade items and products, and also traditional items. So in front of us there are horn objects like flower pots and stools made from horn. There are also objects made from beads. We've made pickle jars and horn earrings.
One of the attendees described the festival as a mix of cultures that helps him rediscover his origins and the traces of the ancestors.
It's a desire to rediscover my origins. It's a motivation to come here, so to rediscover the traces of my ancestors, and that's what I was just saying. It's a mix of cultures. We find other cultures too, and that's the beauty of the Dari Festival.
The 6th Dari Festival, organized by the Ministry of Culture and the National Office for the Promotion of Tourism, Handicrafts and Arts, began December 2024 and it holds till the first Saturday in January. The festival's program encompasses an exhibition of national crafts, performances of traditional dances, and a market of local food.
And that's it on the program today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Layo Olarinde.